Carol, thanks for being with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
It's our pleasure as well. You are a space as solutions company. I want you to talk to us about your solutions, what you're offering.
Sure. So Sidus is a space as a service company, as you mentioned, which means that we provide end-to-end solutions for space, including satellite design, manufacture, test, launch into a satellite constellation to provide space-based data for our customers. But it's much more than that. We also provide hardware manufacturing, mission-critical hardware for defense and for space companies, including Lockheed Martin, some of the larger primes, and then some of the commercial companies like Blue Origin and others.
And what are the types of parts that you manufacture?
So I'll give you an example. Artemis 1 just recently launched for NASA, the large SLS rocket, and we were a part of multiple areas manufacturing hardware for that rocket, whether it was for parts for the solid rocket boosters or the core stage, or even supporting the ground support for the Orion capsule on top.
Amazing, amazing. What would you say are your competitive advantages?
I think our competitive advantages include the fact that we've been in business for over a decade, manufacturing hardware and space-rated hardware. That's really important. You have to get flight certified, to be able to launch into space. So we've got that. We also have great opportunity, I think, with our growth. And when you look at the space-based data and where the economy, the space ecosystem is going, we're really primed and at the beginning of that to be able to support.
Let's talk about the space-based economy. How big is the market for the products and services that you're offering?
Sure. The total addressable market is actually very, very large. There's a number of different estimates, 1 trillion, 1.4 trillion. But then even within that, the small satellite market is described to be somewhere around growth position for 258% growth over the next decade or so, equating to around 55 billion. So you can see, and that's without even really understanding what the economic multipliers are for it. We're at the crossroads here, just like the internet. So, the opportunities are just endless.
Let's talk about your Lizzie satellite. What's its purpose? How does it work? How is it different from existing satellites?
So LizzieSat is a 100-kilogram satellite, which is about the size of a coffee table. And what that means is you can integrate more systems into a little bit larger satellite. You can integrate more customers into it. And you can have kind of defining types of subsystems like propulsion. Propulsion allows you to manipulate a satellite, whether it's to keep it up on orbit longer, which means more revenue, or it might be being able to position to focus on a certain area. So that's a big difference then between smaller, what they call CubeSats, and then the larger 300 million type of military satellites. So that's really what the benefit
is. So these
is.
CubeSats then, what are the applications? I know we've talked about agriculture, but give us some examples.
Well, the satellites in general, whether it's agriculture, and that can be supporting taking a look at crop moisture and making some decisions when that all translates and flows into the financial markets. It can be tracking assets. Maritime is an example, being able to track the maritime logistics patterns and transportation flows and being able to provide that information back to consumers or to other companies. Imagery is one that everyone's pretty familiar with, right? Being able to provide near real-time imagery in certain areas.
Talk to us about the business model. How do you make money?
We make money in multiple ways. It goes back to that space as a service model. A variety of different capabilities, not just a one-trick pony kind of a thing. And so the biggest opportunity is tied around space-based data, similar to the software as a service model. Being able to capture a significant amount of data faster, cheaper, and then provide that to not only companies, but also to consumers. An example might be environmental groups that are looking to see the trends related to something. One might be related to cruise ships. Are there any damages to coral reefs from cruise ships coming through? Or there might be tracking the patterns of fishing, migration, things like that.
Let's go back to the business model. You're making money on the manufacturing side. And talk to us, the big data is a way you're going to make money. Anything else?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's an important distinction there. So right now, the majority of our revenue is from our manufacturing, and it's significant, and it's a positive because that helps support the development of our follow-on satellite offerings. But eventually, that's going to flip because, again, the opportunity when it comes to data is an exponential growth because you collect once, sell many times when you're looking at data and providing to multiple customers. So there's multiple customers can look for the same data.
Let's talk about the management team. You have a very interesting background. Let's start with you.
So I've been called an astropreneur, but my background is really in engineering. I have another company that I grew from one person to a $50 million company. Sidus is a spinoff from that, so I have that experience. Also, I am a former naval flight officer. Flew for a few years in the Navy. And again, I've been in the business of space for well over 2 decades, getting close to 3.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Who else on your board or management?
So also, my chief technology officer, Jamie Adams, has 35 plus years working for NASA and Boeing and other agencies really focused on innovation. My chief mission operations officer, John Curry, actually worked for Blue Origin. He was a NASA flight director, and also Sierra Space, another up-and-coming commercial space company. And then my CFO, Teresa Birchfield, has 30 years in the financial and accounting markets and also a public company CFO.
Carol, to sum up today, what's the essential value proposition for investors? Why should they consider owning your stock today?
Well, first of all, Taglich Brothers analysts have a target of $4.50 on our stock. And then you combine that with the fact that we've been generating revenue for over a decade. We have an experienced leadership team. They have worked for Blue Origin. They've worked for NASA, Lockheed Martin, Boeing. And then the fact that we are on the cusp of major milestones for our company when it relates to our satellite constellation, you can see that in this billion-dollar space economy that we are poised for expansion.
Brilliant. And I would simply say that investors like to buy stocks of companies that are getting better. They short stocks that companies are getting worse. Your company's getting better and better and better. And I think given where the price is today, I can confidently say, even though I get paid to say this, the stock is undervalued. That's what the analyst at Taglich Brothers that covers this space, that knows this company says. $4.50 target price. Carol, it's great being with you today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.